Can you honestly even imagine a world without TV? I mean, it feels like it's always been there, right? But the truth is, it's a pretty new invention, and its role in our lives has sparked one of the biggest debates of the last century. So today, we're going to dive right into the heart of that argument. So, here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll get a handle on the core idea driving this whole conversation. Then, we'll learn the key language used on both sides. After that, we'll deconstruct the arguments piece by piece. And finally, we'll tie it all together for a final summary.
All right, first up, let's get right to the heart of what this whole thing is really about. Okay, so the entire debate really boils down to this one central tension. On one hand, we kind of can't live without television. It's become our window to the entire world. But at the same time, there's this nagging question. What is this incredibly powerful tool really costing us? Is it chipping away at family time? Is it hurting our ability to read? Is it dumbing down our conversations? That's the fundamental conflict we're digging into.
Now, before we really start picking apart the arguments, we gotta get on the same page with the vocabulary. Knowing these key words is gonna make everything that follows make a whole lot more sense. And for those of you learning English, you'll see some translations pop up on the screen, but I'm gonna focus on how these words really shape the debate itself.
Okay, so let's look at our first batch of words. You've got exist, which kind of questions TV's whole place in our lives. Then there's claim, which is pretty much what everybody on both sides of this argument is doing. Words like famine and politics show us the really serious, heavy stuff TV brings right into our living rooms. While entertain, well, that's its most basic and maybe its most powerful job. These are the real building blocks of the conversation.
And with our second set, things get even more intense. You see words like struggle and destroy. That's the language critics use when they talk about TV's effect on family and reading. But on the flip side, you have prime and significant, which highlight just how powerful and central it is. And of course, criticize and influence, well, those are really the two sides of the exact same coin in this whole debate.
All right, with that vocabulary in our back pocket, we're ready to go. Let's start taking this argument apart, piece by piece.
So, the argument kicks off with something that's actually kind of trippy when you think about it. Television is really not that old, but it feels ancient. It's become such a permanent part of our world so quickly that most of us can't even remember what life was like before it.
And this slide just lays it all out side by side. On one side, you have this, almost romantic vision of the world before TV. Families chatting, people reading books, using their imaginations. Then on the other side, you have the undeniable reality. TV as this absolute powerhouse for information, entertainment, and knowing what's going on in the world. And this, right here, leads us to the million-dollar question that critics have been asking for decades. With all this power, with all this influence, is TV actually delivering on its promise? Or is it kind of falling flat?
This is where a major player steps onto the stage. Back in 1961, a government official named Newton Minow took a hard look at primetime TV, and he dropped a bombshell. He called it a vast wasteland. And let me tell you, that critique landed hard. And for a lot of people, it feels just as true today as it did all those years ago. And this just perfectly captures the central paradox of television, doesn't it? It's like for every incredible pro, there's an equally powerful con. It's hailed as a great teacher, but it's also blamed for poor reading skills. It connects us to the entire globe, but it's accused of pulling families apart right in their own homes. It keeps us informed, but it might also be making us a little lazy in the brain department.
So we've looked at the arguments, the praise, the criticism. Now let's pull all these threads together and see if we can reach a verdict.
So to wrap it all up, we start right back at that strange, timeless feeling TV has. It's so woven into our lives that it becomes polarizing.
It creates this nostalgia for a time before screens, a time full of activity and conversation that, maybe wasn't even quite as perfect as we like to remember it.
But the counter-argument is just as strong. Supporters don't just see a flickering box. They see an absolutely vital tool. It's the thing that brings global events, different cultures, and huge human experiences right into our homes, and it completely shapes how we see the world and our own place in it.
So the most important takeaway here is that the debate is just stuck in this state of paradox. It perfectly echoes Newton Minnow's vast wasteland idea. It is somehow, at the exact same time, a brilliant teacher and a cause of illiteracy. It connects us to people thousands of miles away while maybe putting up a wall between us and the person on the couch next to us.
And that leaves us with this final thought. Nobody denies that TV's influence is absolutely massive. It's one of the most significant inventions in human history. But, as the source material puts it so perfectly, television influences everyone and it pleases no one fully. And you know what? Maybe that's the whole point. Maybe a medium this powerful is just destined to be debated forever, a constant tug-of-war between everything it gives us and everything we're afraid it might be taking away.
Want to speak English better and boost your exam scores? Summary training makes it happen.